Welcome to Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo, brought to you by Holy Chuck Burgers. Our business is burgers.
Good morning, Katarina Witt. There's no such thing as bad boys, only boys with bad hair.
Sponsored by Maxwell's Clothiers, your Bespoke tailor since 1961. And now, your host of Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo, Chuck Basti. And there you go. Welcome back. This is Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo. I'm Cam LaRock, the producer of the show. And of course, I'm with Chuck Basti, our host. Chuck, tell me what's going on.
We're going to teach you a thing or two today, young Cameron LaRock. Today, we got Andy from Maxwell Clothiers on the show. And you know, I always say there's no such thing as bad boys, only boys with bad hair. But that goes exactly with suits. There's no such thing as bad boys, only boys with bad suits. And we are aiming to educate all you young kids out there in your hockey gear, going to your games, looking the part. We're going to show you that it doesn't take a lot to dress really well. And Andy from Maxwell Clothiers is on the show today, joining us all the way from Hong Kong. So it's a day ahead for them right now. And we're going to have him on the show, and I can't wait to get into. I've been a client of Andy's for almost 30 years.
Wow.
That's the crazy part. I went and I think my first order was 1995. I don't even think you were glinting your dad's eye at that stage, Cameron.
No,
but
that's
I was
8 years ahead of me.
Yeah, and I was a new Bay Street boy, and I was at 20 Bay Street, and my boss took me down to the Sheridan at the time, and we went down and we met with Andy, and I got my very first suit, and he still has my order on the computer, which is crazy shit because, I can't believe I was a 36 short back then, and now I'm a 42 short. But yeah, it's crazy how that works out. For 30 years, I've been going to the same guy. And you know what the funny thing is? I get one of these in the mail every single time Andy comes back in, from Maxwell Clothiers. There you go. 30 years, going on. And the thing is, when you go there, I'm ruining this for the podcast, but when you go there and you see all these suits and all these people, they're all family. That they keep coming back again and again. And we're going to get into the podcast with Andy, why that makes him distinctly different, why everyone comes down and rushes the doors to get their suits and shirts and top coats from Maxwell Clothiers.
Yeah, Chuck, I can tell you're excited for this one. I mean, as well as being a customer for 30 years. So, you know what? Let's bring him up right now. Get right into it. I'll leave you guys alone.
Yes. Andy, how you doing?
All good, Chuck. Great to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you know what? It's my great pleasure to have you on the show. I'm glad that you can actually join us as well because I think a lot of people ask me a lot of questions about, where I get my dress from and, what created all that. And, I love the story that I had a boss of mine that told me, he's just like, you need a good suit. And I had a good month, and my very first good month on Bay Street in Toronto. And he's like, Maxwell Clothiers is coming into town. We're going to take you down there. And I had no idea what that was. And I'm like, but I can't afford to spend, this is 1995. So it was like $100 a shirt back then to go to a tailor somewhere and get a good shirt. And I'm just, I can't afford that. He's just like, I'm going to put this in your bonus for this month. And he took me down and he got me measured, and I got 3 shirts from you with the monogram that I no longer use. It was kind of like a diagonal monogram on my left cuff. And and that was it. And I was hooked. And then, I haven't been your greatest customer, but I've always been a loyal customer.
And that's what we absolutely love. And in our business, it's all about loyalty. We have customers who may have not ordered in 10 years, but they always come back. And it's really great to see the old customers. And the beauty about it is we have kept all the records since the beginning, the early days. And some customers even get a little bit of a a kick and a laugh because when we pull up orders from 20 years ago and show them what their measurements were, what they ordered, the exact color, and the style, and they just laugh it all out. It's just a great conversation piece as well. And it's great. And we built our business based on loyalty and continued patronage by customers, regular customers. We've always believed in the word of mouth philosophy. We've never advertised since the beginning. It's one customer brings another customer, they bring another customer, and that's how our business has grown over the last 60 years. And this is actually our 60th year going into business. We've been doing business for worldwide in several countries, but Canada has always been a special place for us because that's one of the early countries we started our roots in. My dad and uncle first went to Winnipeg in 1960 and
Wow.
to explore the business and to see what they could do to expand the business, and that's where it all our connection with Canada started. It was all Winnipeg on Smith Street. My uncle opened the shop, and my dad was on the Asia side doing the supply, and it was an amazing business that was growing, and then we took it on from there, and then built our customer base from Winnipeg and went on to other places, and then ended up doing our trunk show business, which pretty much exploded in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, and that's how we have reached to this stage right now, where we have thousands and thousands of customers all over Canada who come and see us every 6 months. We cover probably about 27 areas in Canada, from the Maritimes all the way from St. John's, Newfoundland, right down to Victoria, BC, and everywhere in between. The only places we haven't gone to yet are the Northwest Territories, Yukon, and maybe other remote areas. But we cover all the metropolitan areas. We go to Regina, Saskatoon, Kelowna, Kamloops, Moncton, New Brunswick, Fredericton. So we cover a lot of the smaller cities as well as the bigger cities as Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver. And we meet so many different nice people all over the country who've been ordering from us for years. So we've become almost like friends and family, and so it's just a great feeling being on the road every few months in Canada.
I think you know Canada better than most Canadians know Canada because like you've been here longer than we have, and you've been to the places that we've never been to. But I want to take us back to my rookie year on Bay Street. I was coming out of college, and just kind of like create the scene for the people that are watching right now. Because believe me when I tell you, I walked into the hotel conference room that you guys rent, and just a sea of suits, whether they be stockbrokers or politicians or executives or whatever. And it was like literally a zoo of like hundreds of people at the time in 1995. And I remember like the crazed, like, what's going on here? Is this an autograph session? Is there somebody from hockey that's being here? And these guys were all polite. They were all waiting their turn, all being measured. And they were just like, it was like so normal for them to go through this process, that really blew me away. And you know what? I think back then, I'm going to guess, but I think I remember paying $140 for 3 shirts. And that included the duty that came in, and we got the shirts, and I got them in the bag. I remember I felt like I just won the lottery, and I put that shirt on, and my wife looked at me at the time, and she's just like, "Wow," because it fit me like a shirt, like it fits me like my measurements to my cuffs. We got the monogram on there as well. I get to pick my collar. And it was a game changer, and I was ruined because I could never go back to a shirt off the rack after that ever again.
You touched the right point. Yes, it can be very overwhelming for a first time visitor when they enter our workspace. Generally, in the larger cities, just Toronto and Montreal, we We rent out these large ballroom type of places in the major hotels, and we have wall-to-wall tables with fabric samples. We have a team on hand to assist customers. We have a team on hand to take the measurements and assist in styling and everything. So it can be overwhelming for a first-time person who's coming to see us, but most people just follow what other people are doing. They look at the fabrics, they go through the fabrics, and initially a first-timer would place a smaller order. Our three shirts now are $220 for three shirts, which is a very, very competitive price for custom tailor shirts, which includes a monogram, your choice of collar styles and cuff styles. And the beauty is it's measured to fit you. And you also touched on another point where once you've received your product, once you've received your shirt, you try it on, and you know it fits like a glove, you would never go back and buy any other shirt. Yeah, you can't. You're hooked basically, and that's how we built our customer base, because it's regular clients. We get probably about 75% repeat business on each trip and 25% new customers. And new customers are usually brought in by our existing customers. So like I said, we don't advertise. It's all word of mouth, and all our new business comes from somebody who's heard about us or been recommended by us or been recommended by their friends, relatives, colleagues, and that's how we've grown our new business. But you're right. Once you purchase custom clothing, whether it's a suit, shirt, and it fits right on spot, it's very difficult for you to go back and shop around anywhere else off the rack or in any other place. So yeah, that's how our business has worked over the years.
And I think it's really important that the kids nowadays, whether they're playing in sports, whether it be basketball, football, baseball, hockey, volleyball, whatever it is, now they're dressing up, going to the games, and they're representing their city or their town or their township or their club. And now you see them all walking in there right now, dolled up. And so my thing is, like, with these kids coming in, when they learn, dress makes a big difference in a first impression. And you only get, as I say, you only get one chance to make a first impression. So when you walk into an interview, like I had a recruiting firm for 25 years. I interview people for a living. Like the first 3 seconds when I saw somebody tinted or tainted or made or broke what my perception or my listening of that person was going to be. And that's just a human feature. Like that's how we process. And obviously, like, you want to be able to move through that. But again, when I see a person in a good suit or a nice pair of shoes, that person there has got pride of ownership and they've invested in that. And like I said, you don't need to spend a whole lot of money to have a huge wardrobe, but you have to have a suit that fits you well, a couple shirts that fit you well, and more importantly, how you feel in that shirt. How it's embodiment of it's in your shoulders, it's at your waistline, whether you're a little portly on the waist or whether you're in good shape, and how that fits you. Like when you put that on, your confidence grows and your self-esteem grows, and that's a huge thing I think for young kids these days. When they learn how to dress.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with that. You can see that also in all professional sports, all professional athletes, whether it's the professional soccer clubs in Europe, UK, whether it's the NBA, NFL, anyone getting off at their tour bus or whatever, everyone is dressed very nicely. When they go from the bus straight into the locker room, that's where the media captures them, and they know that's where the media will capture them, and they want to look their best. And it does add several degrees to self-esteem, a feel-good factor, and it's great that we're seeing that a lot of younger people are getting more and more involved in their wardrobe. They're getting more and more involved in what they wear. It's not like 30, 40 years ago where younger people dressed a little bit more sloppier, or it's always been the same uniform, a blue blazer, white shirt, and a pair of tan pants. Right now, it's a little bit more interesting than that. There's lots of styling available, a lot of colors available. The fabric technology has improved, so the fabrics are more comfortable as well. So young people enjoy wearing a dress wear as well. And another point that you touched on is why young people are getting on. We get a lot of father and sons coming in at the same time now, where my dad used to deal with grandfathers, and then they brought their kids in. I dealt with the fathers, and now these fathers are bringing in their sons. So it's been going after one generation after generation, and it's great to see that business continues within the family. And like I said, once a young person gets their custom clothing done, they will always come back, and they spread the word to all their friends. So that's how the business grows.
I honestly think that I'm actually doing people a favor when I tell them to go see you, because I know that you'll take care of them. I know they'll look really great. And here's an example here. So this is the monogram that I settled with probably 20 years ago. That's on every shirt that I have from you guys as well. But you made this top coat. So this is the inside of my top coat. Look at the thing that, pause that there, Cam. But what I really love about this is I didn't even know this came with the top coat when I ordered the top coat. And then you can imagine the excitement on my face when I went to go put something in my pocket, and I opened up in the side, and there's my monogram there saying especially made for Chuck Basti, which is a really nice vanity point that did very well with my ego. I will admit that. But again, it's the small things that make all the difference, distinctly different from like, where do I have my tax dwindled dollar, and where do I put that in the small things that makes you distinctly different. This top coat that you put together for me, God bless you, because I love this thing. Everywhere I go, this is the reaction of these guys in the room is just like, that's not staged. They are really like, is this for real? The lining on it, the cashmere on the outside, the softness that this garment has, it's a staple. Everywhere I go, like that stands out distinctly. It stops traffic. And that coat there is like even the funny story about that. When I went to go get measured, it was COVID, and it was just after COVID. So I was a little more portly, and your reps have always been pretty good with tolerating my bullshit, because I'll come in there every single 6 months. I go and get measured, and they'll measure me, and they'll go back to the computer and look at my old measurements, and they'll look at the tape, and they'll go back and they'll measure me again. And he goes back a second time, and I'm like, okay, well, now I'm getting upset, right? And then he comes and measures me a third time and goes back to the computer. I'm like, okay, now you're just getting cheeky about this. It's been COVID. I put on 20 pounds. I promise you, by the time I get your product, I will lose this 20 pounds. So don't measure me as a 36. You know, like I'm a 34. That's the way I'm sticking with it. The measurements that we have there as well. But when I got that top coat, it was just like you got it right. And I'm still elated to it. I have a little clip there that we're going to play here, because it's I took on this character that we had at a hockey tournament. It's kind of like a Don Cherry-esque character, and I dressed the part like this, and we're just going to show this.
But she's not freaking something right. I like those wheels. I anticipate the puck off that board like he comes off hot. Come on, Rob! He's your slew there!
Well, this is all designed. So don't worry about
You
it.
got a fucking call, right? Holy fuck, Scotty. You got to act from the show. You start driving 10
So these are the things that we're doing with this character as well, because, and it was funny because it was a woman's game, and she comes up to me, she was like, "Excuse me, sir, I don't know who you are, but I think if you keep yelling at the ref like that, they're going to give us a penalty." And I looked at her, I'm like, what part of what I'm wearing like is real to you? Because this is so constructed. But it was really funny, and the reaction that we got from the crowd when you walk in and out of that every single time it goes, and it's not rocket science. It works. And if you come to the table like this is my character, it's a construct, but at the same time, it gets a lot of eyeballs on it.
When it comes to bespoke tailoring, it's all about the details. So you are creating a garment from scratch. You start with the fabric, Then you start with the interior lining. You want to do detailing, where you want the pockets, how you want the pockets, where you want the lapel, uh, uh, what length you want with the coat, whether you want a short, a long. A lot of detailing comes in bespoke tailoring, and that's why you're able to customize all these detailing. And it is all these small details that make the garment. And when you receive the garment, you're looking at all the details. You really, really feel good. Yes, I've created a garment from scratch based on my criteria, based on my liking. It's like creating a piece of art.
Yeah.
And you may not be an artist, you may not be creative, but you were involved in what you created, and you're wearing it, and you're proud to wear it. And that's why a lot of young people now enjoy getting bespoke clothing. And the other part of it, it doesn't have to be expensive. From the very beginning, when my dad started business, we always had the philosophy is give the value to the customers. You don't want to make a lot of money on it, but give them the value, give them the opportunity to learn about bespoke tailoring, learn about bespoke clothing, and give them the opportunity to order bespoke clothing, and not at Savile Row prices, not at UK prices, but affordable prices, and we're giving them value. We source thousands and thousands of fabric from our suppliers, get the best possible discounts, and we pass on those discounts to all our customers. And we've always maintained a very, very reasonable price points for all our products. And especially, we also have a lot of starter packages for young people, with a suit and 3 shirts for about $800. And that's the package that a lot of young people go with. They start, then they want to get a little bit more connoisseur with the fabrics, then they go with a little bit more premium fabrics. But even our starter packages have great fabrics, and then you can do all the detailing, and all the detailing is all included. All your monograms, your name will be inside the garment, and you have that proud feeling that you created a garment and you're wearing the garment.
So I was going to ask you this: what makes your company distinctly different? But you've just answered that. But as opposed to a competitor that you have that sells suits, for example, you say, well, if you want to buy a Rolex, go down the street. I sell Timex. If you want a Rolex, that's prestige. That's not a watch. And I look at your brand the exact same way. Like if you want to go buy a suit, go to Moore's. Like if you want to look the part and have a fit and feel like the character and the play that you want to play with this look that you're going for, go to Maxwell Clothiers. They come every 6 months. You go down there, and like you said, the value that you got, you'll never be the cheapest, which is fine. It's like I don't want cheap. What I do want is I love the customer service I get from you. Like it's 30 years, I'm still talking to you right now. And I'm not your biggest client, but yeah, every single time I come down, you always make time for me. You always sit and chat with me. If it's not crazy busy, and we can catch up as well. And I can look at my measurements and laugh and see how fat I've gotten over the years, and how you guys do a great job of hiding that right now, which is really great, especially after COVID, because like we've all put on those pounds. But I want to go back to like why you take the time where other companies don't see that as a business venture or as an opportunity of why fit is important, of why value is important, why people keep coming back over and over again, generationally now, to get fitted, and they don't even know why they're going back. It's almost like what they say in the field of dreams. They just people will show, Ray. People will show up. They'll keep coming. They'll give you money. They'll pass it over. They won't even know why they're doing it. And that's how I feel when you come to town, and I get my yearly 6 month brochure in the mail, and I open it up, and it's just like it takes me back to the time I'm 25 years old, and I have this nostalgia feeling. I'm just like, yes, I want to go down, and I don't need any more shirts, but I'm going to go down and go get more shirts. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I go do it. But you have this sort of like trance on people that they just go down and get more shirts.
Yeah, you're right. I get a lot of those comments. Regular customers come in every 6 months. They say, hey, I don't really need anything, but because you're here, I'm here. I'm going to place another order. It's just more. It's just a great feeling, and the two things that have led to our success is we provide a very good quality product, and at the same time, we provide very good quality service. So product and service, and both of those qualities, if customers are happy with their product, and obviously they'll be happy with our service, they'll keep coming back. And that is the two things that have actually made our business very successful. We have regular customers come in. Yes, we treat everyone like friends. We take the time, we chit chat, they talk about different things, and going through the order process is usually secondary. And that's what I learned from my father when he had his shop. And when the customer would walk in, the first 20 minutes would be just chit chat about different things, family, life, everything. And then 20 minutes later, you'll get down to business. Oh, okay. So what would you like to order today? And then you will go through the measurements. And so the order process and everything took like 10 minutes, but it was more of a 20-minute conversation before that. So it was like building a relationship. And that's what it is. We've built relationships with all our clients. Many clients come in, many are new clients. We're getting to know them now. They come back on a regular basis. We'll get to know them even better. And that's how it is. And then they spread the word because they're happy with the quality of the product. They're happy with the customer service, and they just spread the word. And that's why they keep coming back.
There's one guy in particular, and I forget his name, but I know you'll know who I'm talking about. He owns a security company, big tall guy, older gentleman. And you were busy off, and I was just talking to him in the room, in the conference room, and he brought all of his people from his security detail, in to get fitted in suits, and him and I were just going back and forth, and it was just like, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm not a hard sell on this one. Like, I don't know why you're trying to tell me I'm here, because I'm doing the exact same thing that you are. And he's just like, I don't know, I'm not trying to sell you, but I just see so much value that I just share this, and just like, my employees come in and they feel like I got their back as well. And it's like this kind of like camaraderie thing that we come in here as men. And that being said, I want to ask you, what is your ideal, or who is your ideal client? Like, what does that person look like? So if somebody's watching this for the first time, they don't know price point, they don't know fit, they don't know material, they don't know any of that. And as they say, but I'm in the market for X, Y, Z. But what would they see as value for Maxwell Clothiers that they would become a client, your ideal client?
So over the years, that demographic has changed. Obviously, ideal client 20 years, especially in the 80s, where you had the whole premise about getting power suits, power shirts.
Yeah.
So ideal client is somebody who wore a suit or dress wear, who dressed up 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. And that would be your banker, your lawyer, accountant, and so forth. A professional who would need to wear dress wear 5 days a week. I think that has changed more recently. Even with the demographic has changed. We are actually targeting a little bit more of a younger demographic, where young kids fresh out of college, or for their interview suits, or starting building their wardrobe with the 2 or 3 suits and half a dozen shirts. When they're getting into the workforce, that would be our ideal client, because we know that client will grow with us for the next 20 years. Even though that the dress sense has changed into somehow semi-casual or smart casual, we adjust to that. We retool and re-geared for that. We've got different fabrics for that. But that would be our ideal client, is somebody who wears dress wear at least 2 to 3 times a week now, who's a little bit more younger, not at the executive level. And we know that customer will stay with us and grow with us over the years and continue business perhaps for the next 20, 30 years as well.
Recently, obviously, I'm involved in the hockey world here in Canada, but recently we had Brian Burke on our podcast. Brian's got a book out right there. Big with USA Hockey. He was president and general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. But he's got chapter 6, genuine wear cuffs. And, when we had him on the show, I was just like, Berkey, look at this, we're wearing the cuffs, Berkey, we got the monogram going on there. And, while I'll always be a customer for life, is I now have a tattoo of the monogram that you created for me on my arm right now. That goes with my shirt. And when I had him on the podcast and we were talking about gentlemen wear cuffs, he's just like, yeah, it's a real thing, and he didn't even blink. He was just like, yeah, like you're talking to the converted on this one because, everywhere we go, like that's how you roll. Ideal client or even just kids coming into the sport. And I want to throw a shout out right now to the GTHL. They're watching this, from their hockey clubs as well. If you get a chance to go down and meet with Andy, bring your kids, bring your teams down. I'm sure that he'll cut you a great deal on team orders or whatever as well. But the website's up there. Go down, get your kid measured out there. Watch his confidence soar. And what I'm finding about, and Canadian Mental Health Association and MLSE has come down with Change the Game. They're talking to parents right now, life after COVID, of what parents are dealing with their kids in sport. And what we found after COVID, which is not shocking, is like increase in anxiety, depression, suicide awareness, social media bullying, isolation, all these things. So when you have the ability to instill confidence, self-esteem, mastery, these things are built over time. But you can give your kids small wins by getting them in, getting them looked the part. The bullying stops at that point there. So if you've got the ability to go down there and do that, get measured, get fit, get in that side, it'll change your entire confidence on how you roll. Not only that, but sporting figures. Like, we're just going to speak to this as well, because I know that you did some work with Rugby Canada as well. And it's really hard for athletes to get fit properly and go off the rack. But going down to you can actually accommodate for thighs, muscular legs, shoulders, breadth and chest, barrel chested, all that as well in your fits, correct?
Absolutely. And those are also our ideal clients. Those are clients who are difficult to fit, too tall, too short, too big, too small. Athletes are challenging fit, especially when it comes to the quads, when it comes to the calf muscles. You have to build the pants based on their muscle anatomy, barrel chested, a lot of sloping shoulders where the shoulders are almost like ski slopes coming down. We have to adjust the padding accordingly. So a lot of those detailing goes in when we do all our full-fledged measurements, and we take about 30 different measurements when we are dealing with each client. We also take digital photographs of the client, 3 ways to give a visual image to our master cutter, so he can see where this gentleman's shoulder is sloping to the left, and they'll cut the garment accordingly. And that is the beauty about bespoke tailoring. Young people who start out ordering bespoke clothing will understand that over the whole process, and it really builds self-esteem, because you're creating something on your own and building something, and you're proud to wear that garment. Whether it be a shirt or a suit or a jacket or a pair of pants, you're proud of the fact that you built this product, and it really builds up your self-esteem. And that's why we enjoy working with a lot more younger people and educating them on the bespoke service as well.
Perfect. So you're going to segue perfectly where we want to go onto your website right now. So Cameron, my producers, pulled up some select product from your website as well. So I just thought we could just kind of walk through, what people are going to expect when they go to your website, if they can order online, if you're not going to be in town for a bit as well, because obviously they don't want to wait 6 months. How do they order online? And we'll just walk through this.
Sure. So the website is built for customers, obviously, to place repeat orders, those who we have measurements and details on file. But a new customer can certainly place a simple order for some shirts as well. We do have a measurement guide on the website. We have hundreds of fabrics also to select from on the website. Choice of collar, cuff styles. You can see the rendering on the shirts as well. That are there. So it kind of gives you a visualization what the shirt will actually look like. And it's a fairly simple process. Ideally, we would like to see the customers in person so we can have our own team take the measurements. But of course, we're not at every place at every given time, and we're only coming to your city every 6 months. So this is another tool and avenue where new customers can place the orders. Start off with a few simple shirts and then move on from there. We even build suits accordingly. We also have guides on how to take measurements for jackets and suits should new customers wish to order. But a lot of our online business comes, and I would say more than 90% of our online business comes from repeat business. So customers whose measurements and details on file who missed our visit, and all of a sudden they look at something and they said, "Oh yeah, I need another jacket. I need another pair of pants. I need a few more shirts." And we get a lot of those orders pretty much every day. We also do a lot of wedding groups, so you can see tuxedos and shirts. In fact, this spring season, March to May, is wedding season. So we get several wedding groups coming to see us during our tours, and we work a nice package out for them. And they again, a wedding group, when you're dealing with 5 or 6 different groomsmen, those are 5 or 6 different groomsmen. When there's time to get them married, they will come again back to us and get more groomsmen, and that's how the whole wedding business has also grown for us. And we're starting to do a little bit more casual clothing as well. Like I said, the dress sets has moved to a little bit more of a smart casual move. So we've increased our entire selection on sport jacket. So last year, 2023, the sport jacket was the #1 item that we produced, and that was ordered by our customers. So customers who normally would come and buy 2 to 3 suits a year instead is buying 4 to 5 sports jackets a year. And sport jackets have become a lot more diverse in terms of fabric technology, in terms of patterns, in terms of colors. They're easy to go with jeans, khakis, Dockers. You can throw them with a polo underneath or a t-shirt underneath. And sport jacket has become the #1 item in everyone's wardrobe right now. We'll
Right.
do so this year as well.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you as well. Like, there's obviously been a pivot after COVID. There's been less people going to the office now as well, and now that we've come back from COVID as well, are you seeing the numbers starting to come back again
Absolutely.
for people, getting measured?
Absolutely, yes. During COVID was a very, very challenging time for it. Two things, because our business requires travel and face to face with our clients, neither of which we could do. We did do a lot of online business, but the need for clothing had diminished because less people were going to the office or offices were closed. A lot of people were working from home. So the need for clothing was actually quite down. Things started to pick up in early 2022 when a handful of customers started going back to the workplace. They needed clothing again. And then we saw an absolute spike in clothing because a lot of clients hadn't ordered in 3-4 years.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we got this what they call the revenge buying or bulk buying, where customers came in and ordered 3 or 4, 5 different suits, jackets, pants, shirts, a dozen or so shirts. So we had a lot of the spike in business, which was great for 2022, 2023. We prefer a little bit more of a steady stream of business where we would like to see the customer more on a regular basis. Small buyer, 1 jacket, 2 pants, a suit, half a dozen shirts, and come back and see us 6 months later and repeat that same process. So if you come in buying 5 or 6 suits at one time, we will not see you for another couple of years because your wardrobe is full. We love your business, but we like to see you more regularly. Yeah.
True. And I actually do. I when you come into Toronto, like whether it be in September or in March, and I can come down, come to the conference center. To me, it's an energy thing as well. It's just like, the last time I came down, I didn't pick anything up. I just came down and say hi to you. I like to watch. I like to watch everybody, go through the fabric. I like to see your staff, accommodate everybody and work around the room as well. So to me, it's almost like a cultural thing that way as well. But that being said, you're going to be in Toronto next week. You're flying out a couple of days to come to Canada.
Yeah,
So
our team is
where
already on the
find
ground.
you?
They're in London, Ontario. They're in Kitchener, Ontario this week. They'll be in Hamilton, and I'll be joining them in Toronto this weekend. We'll be in Toronto over the next 10 days before going on to Montreal and Ottawa and many other fun places in Canada. Yeah.
So you'll be in Toronto between March the 1st and March the 10th?
Yes. Yep.
And then where do you go after that?
So we are in Toronto until March 11th, in fact, and then we are off to Montreal. We'll be in Montreal for about a week before heading out to Ottawa, then Kingston. bit of a break during Easter. Then we'll be starting our prairie tours in Regina, Saskatoon, and going on to Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, and then we'll do BC, British Columbia, about 3 or 4 stops there before ending at around early May. We'll be done with our Canadian tour. And then we reset, retool, and then we'll do a lot of our US tours starting in May, June. We'll be going over to London, England. We'll do continental Europe, Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland. So we'll be doing a few of those places in June, and then July is also the U.S. tours, and then we'll be back to Canada again in September.
Wow. I mean, like, do you get a chance to actually enjoy any of the culture when you go to these places? Or you pretty much
Well, we are working all day from 9 a.m. to almost 8 p.m. all day. So we're kind of indoors pretty much all day. We do get some reprise when we in the evenings. We'll take a little bit of walk if it's not too cold or there's no snowstorm outside. Then we're able to see a bit of the city. I mean, I've been in Toronto maybe 100 times already. So I know the city, enjoy it, and many other cities along the tour stops. But yeah, we don't get a chance to do the tourist thing, but we get a chance to enjoy the city, and it's more around meeting the people and our customers, and we kind of enjoy that more than anything else. Yeah, we do also stops in Australia, so twice here in Australia. I just got back from Australia about 2 weeks ago. Had a great trip out there in Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane. A lot of fun people out there as well. So wherever you can meet us, and we catch up with a lot of our Canadian clients in many of those countries as well, because many have moved. They're expats in those countries. They're living and working in those countries, whether it's Geneva, Switzerland, whether it's Sydney, Australia, or whether it's Singapore. I meet a lot of our old Canadian clients from Calgary, from Winnipeg, from Vancouver, from Toronto, who are living and working in those countries, and they're so happy that we're coming to those countries to service them just like the old days. So it's great to catch up with all Canadian expats all over the world.
We have the banner going across the bottom there. That's the website as well. So what I would encourage you to do, everyone who's watching right now, just go on that website, have a look around, check the dates that work for you. And when you actually do come and see Andy, tell him I say hi as well, because this is like I said, when you get caught drinking the Kool-Aid of this, it's the good kind of Kool-Aid. Can be very addicting Kool-Aid as well, because it's fun to look nice. But again, like the customer service experience that I've always gotten, whether I've been a small customer, like you said, or I've been a bigger customer buying bigger items like the top coat or whatnot, to me have always been the reason why I always come back and see you, and why I'm always 30 years later, I'm still, a loyal client to Maxwell Clothiers. So, and I want to thank you for coming on the show today. And I'll see you next week when you come into Toronto as well, and we'll catch up then. But it's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. It was great to be on the show. Thank you. All the best. See you soon.
Thank you. That is Andy Maxwell from Maxwell Clothiers, one of my favorite tailor as well. And he will be in Toronto March 1st to March 11th, as you heard him say. And go to the websites, Maxwell's with a S on the end, plural, maxwellsclothiers.com, and drop him a line if you're going to be around anywhere that they go across Canada, the States. And we will bring up my little understudy, Cam LaRock, my producer, and see what he's thinking about bespoke tailoring.
Well, Chuck, I learned a lot today. I'll tell you that much. I'm not maybe the best dressed guy around, but now that I got a hookup, maybe I can change that.
Well, I think so, because I always have a saying, Cameron, that there's no such thing as bad boys, just boys with bad suits.
Yeah. And Chuck, I just wanted to add the point about how much I appreciate Andy's just customer service and his care for his clients and everything like that. I like earlier when he touched on that. He said something along the lines of, it might cost a little more, but you're getting your value, and we're going to make sure that our customers get like the little things that count, like your name being sewn on the inside, little things like that mean the most. And I don't know. I just really appreciated him saying that. And got my respect for that.
It's true. And like when you go to the showrooms, I don't know how many languages they speak, but I think Andy must speak like half a dozen. Like I didn't even ask him how many he speaks, but he'll be speaking a language and I just turn around and going, "Are you speaking another language?" And he's just like, "Just a little bit. I just speak a little bit of that." I'm like, but it's just like, well, like I thought you were like, he's like, "Well, we're from Singapore, and it's a different dialect, and it's this and that." And like literally all the people there that are customer service, fitters and tailors and measurers, like they all like literally meet that person on the platform of where they're at. And like he said, it's the small things, it's customer service,
Yeah.
it is fit, it is all those. To me, it's the perfect storm of what I think, you want in your measurement. And because, he goes back to Hong Kong and they make it, ship it back to you. You don't get it immediately, but the value is there because I can wait 2 or 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks to get my product, knowing full well what I'm waiting for, moving ahead of the curve. But I really appreciate the value I get back from that. And again, that just makes me a repeat customer every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I liked again what Andy said about just building relationships, and that's what brings the customer back. And he
Yeah.
told that story of his dad dealt with a certain customer, and then that was the grandfather now to a kid that they're helping out. And there's a dad; it's 3 generations now. So that's
It's
what you
not
want out of your
rocket science when you see it. It just makes good human sense on a
absolutely.
psychological level. But it's very welcoming and valued to see it actually in action, and them doing it consistently over decade over decade over decade, and not fraying from that model and just saying, "This is our brand. This is what we do. We're upfront. This is what we provide. This is what the cost is," and everybody knows and everybody plays nicely with others. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, well said.
Well, thank you for joining us here on Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo. Like obviously, bespoke tailoring is very close and near and dear to my heart. So that way we're thankful that Andy could join us from Maxwell Clothiers. Again, go to the website, www.maxwellclothiers.com, and see where they're coming close to you as well. And then when you go there, tell him I say hi. And until next time, remember, there's no such thing as bad boys, only boys with bad suits.